Hello and welcome to the podcast. My name is Eleni Wood, and today on Fieldwork Diaries we are joined by Kerry Reid, a PhD student and volcanologist at the Open University. Thanks for coming, Kerry.
Thanks for having me.
So, what made you want to become a volcanologist?
Well, actually, I didn't initially want to be a volcanologist. Coming from a background of astronomy, I've always wanted to be an astronaut. But after finding out a little bit more about it and realising how long some of these missions can actually be, I thought I might get a bit homesick. So apparently the second coolest job from an astronaut was a volcanologist. So my dad bought me a book on volcanology, and since then I've just been absolutely fascinated by it. So I went to university at Aberystwyth and studied physical geography. I cemented the interest, definitely wanted to go down that route. So I went to Bristol University to do my master's in volcanology. And here I am today doing my PhD.
So you're looking at active volcanoes. So I bet your mum was really thanking your dad for introducing you to that and buying you the book. I mean, is volcanology that dangerous? I mean, are you at risk at all?
I mean, I guess it depends on the volcano that you're working on. I work on active volcanoes, so it is a little bit hairy sometimes, particularly when you have surprises. So when I went for my second visit on the volcano I'm working on at the moment, I was greeted by a lovely big lava lake. We were having daily earthquakes, which was a bit scary when you're on the side of a crater. So yeah, it is a dangerous area for research, but it's also a really fascinating. So it kind of balances it out. I think it's fine if you're sensible.
And with the lava lake, I mean, how up close and personal can you get with those?
Well, a little bit too close for comfort sometimes. So I'm looking down into the crater where my lava lake is. It's probably about 200 metres away, so I'm at a relatively safe distance, but you still get a little bit nervous every now and then.
So for your PhD and you're studying this volcano, actually you should probably say where this volcano is.
So my volcano is in Central America. It's in Nicaragua. It's called Masaya Volcano. And what makes Masaya really interesting is it's a persistently active volcano. Its activity varies from really long periods of degassing, so up to 24 years cycles. They can vary in intensity, so we've had quite a lot of degassing crises periods where emissions have been so high it's caused widespread social, economic, environmental damage. And it also has these lava lake periods, which last a couple of years sometimes. So it's alternating between degassing and lava, but it's persistently active.
So you said that there's some potential kind of hazards from these. I mean, how many people is this affecting? Is it quite a large proportion? Or
Yeah, I mean, so where the volcano is situated, it's about 25 kilometres from the capital of Nicaragua, Managua. And to put this in perspective, there's about 2 million people living within a 30-kilometre radius. So it's in a really densely populated area, which means that there's a lot of people vulnerable to overexposure from volcanic gases such as sulfur dioxide. So there are a lot of people at potential risk, which makes my work really important to monitor the activity, to learn what it's done in the past and help us predict what it might do in the future.
how do you actually go about monitoring the volcano? You said it was sort of degassing. Are you measuring those gases?
Yeah, so I think the beauty of my PhD is that I'm able to look at quite a broad range of data sets, which is quite unique for a PhD. So I'm monitoring the gas, obviously, so I'm looking at emission rate, and that's using a UV spectrometer. So we just strap it onto the roof of a car. In our case, it's a lovely rusty old taxi that's definitely seen better days. And I do traverses downwind of the volcano, so about 5 kilometres downwind from the volcano. I drive up and down underneath the plume, and I'm looking at how much UV energy is being absorbed at specific wavelengths, which allows us to look at the gas concentration in the plume. In addition to this, I'm using these things called diffusion tubes, and they measure downwind concentration levels. So it's pretty much what it says on the tin. You just pop up these tubes. They've got this nice little membrane that allows gas to come into the tubes, but it can't escape. And I'll put them up for about 3 weeks at a time, and we get an average concentration. But the good thing about these tubes is it allows me to get into the places that I wouldn't necessarily be able to do with UV spectrometry. So they go up in places that are actually going to be useful to get information from. So 80% of my sites are in schools. The remainder is in sort of doctors' surgeries, churches, stuff like that. I wanted them to be relevant to the population that I want to make sure they're not being subjected to overexposure, and actually just get some useful information.
So looking at the kind of risks that people would have as they go about their everyday lives.
Exactly. It's all about, the way I see it is, what's the point in doing all this research if I don't have anything to help the people that live around the volcano? So the hopes is that I can monitor this and help them predict in the future that they might be subjected to these really elevated levels.
Sure. And you've got all these diffusion tubes and all these different pieces of kit. I mean, surely having all of these sort of deployed, that's going to come with some challenges. I mean, have you found that you've lost anything?
Oh my God, so many challenges. So diffusion tubes, they seem really popular with these birds called zopolotes, which are just basically massive vultures. They quite like to use them to build nests, which can be quite challenging because you can just see them like flying off in the distance with all your lovely data, and it's quite frustrating. I've had some funny experiences with my spectrometer. So I've been pulled over a few times, and this is by police, and I've been held at gunpoint, and they've been shouting at me saying, are you travelling? Is this cocaine in your box? What's this? What's in this pelican case? So that's been quite stressful. So yeah, definitely challenges with these pieces of kit.
Yeah, and I guess being in a foreign country, it becomes a lot harder to explain that you're there sort of for scientific purposes, yes. and you're not just wandering around with
definitely in
shady.
My really pretty bad level of Spanish, it's quite challenging to get across that you're looking at SO2 emission rates and you're not travelling with cocaine. But I got there in the end.
Yeah. So what's it like working in Nicaragua and sort of the environment that you're sort of working in?
It's really interesting. It is challenging. I've worked in Central America before. So for my master's work, I was working in Guatemala. So I have been kind of prepared for this a little bit. I think what always surprises me is working in these less economically developed countries. There's just challenges that you wouldn't even consider on a daily basis. So, for instance, we were going for substantial amounts of periods without water, which is really not nice when you come back from a day in the field where it's been like 38 degrees, 90% humidity. You just want to shower and you can't. So I really like to travel with lots of baby wipes. Yeah. I think that's an essential. But yeah, you're faced with like everyday challenges. Language is always a problem. Also, just general understanding of volcanology in that country. Different countries have more research than others. I find Nicaragua quite challenging in terms of gaining access to the park. So, for instance, when I went out this year, there was a massive lava lake, so everyone was on red alert, and they actually just closed the park completely to everyone, which made it quite difficult for me to gain entry to go and do my research, because this was prime time for me. I had to get there and get this data. So there are sort of problems like that you will come across, but I think that's the beauty of fieldwork. You just learn to sort of adapt, always have a plan B, and just think on your feet, and you get there.
So is there any, you mentioned sort of some of the things that you wouldn't be out without sort of your baby wipes. So is there any other sort of pieces of field kit that you just can't live without?
So baby wipes, number one, they're essential. Like, you have to take them. But also duct tape. Like, duct tape is incredible. It will, it's helped repair a pair of trousers. It's helped me strap my stuff to trees. It's helped me secure the spectrometer. Honestly, like, duct tape is a godsend. Like, always carry some duct tape.
Can't go without duct tape. And I was just thinking, they always say duct tape is one thing a student can't be without for fixing anything, and cheese is one thing a student can't be without for fixing any bad cooking. What's the food like out in Nicaragua?
The food is interesting. For the first week, it's really exciting to have rice and beans and, a bit of plantain. That's quite nice. Some hot salsa. It's great. By week 7, it's really grim. So there's not much variety. The there is really nice fresh fruit, which is amazing. And actually, because of the acidic conditions, pineapple grows really well downwind from the volcano. So there's lots of pineapple farms. So you can pick up a pineapple for about 2p. So I live off pineapples while I'm over there. And they also sell lots of dried mango, which is really good.
That sounds really nice. So the people that you're there with, are you with a big team, or
yeah? So we work with an organisation called Earthwatch Institute, and they promote citizen science. So they get everyday members of the public out on field expeditions with real scientists collecting real data. So that's really exciting. So there's normally a group of 20 odd people, a huge variety in the people. So you have, sort of students to retired, older generation people. So it's a really nice spectrum of people with lots of different expertise they bring to the table that you wouldn't even consider. So one of the guys that I was working with was mapping lava tube tunnels. And this guy rocks up and he's an expert caver and he has loads of kit to do like 3D images of caves. So he brought that to the lava tube side of things. So it's a really good environment to be on field work with.
So can I sign myself up to come along too?
Sure thing, yeah. Just to have a Google, we'll come up. Come along.
do you have any more fieldwork planned? You said you've been out, was it twice?
Yeah, so I've been out twice now for about 12 weeks. I'm in my final year of my PhD now, so actually it's kind of the pressure is on to get writing. So I probably won't be going out on any more fieldwork, but that's definitely, it's not going to stop me in the future. I plan to go back there and see how things are changing.
So you've had all these amazing experiences obviously out there and really sort of got to work alongside some really amazing people and interacting with sort of the local communities and stuff. But what do you think you've learnt?
I've learnt, I think, to always just, don't get intimidated by if a situation changes, because I think particularly with fieldwork, it never goes the way you expect. You cannot prepare for it because, do you know what? It's going to change. And that's kind of like the beauty of it. You don't know what you're going to get. So especially when you're working on active volcanoes. So for instance, in 2015, when I first went out, I got really excited because I found a tiny little patch of these things called Pele's hair. So it's basically, so Pele is the volcanic goddess, the Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes. And it's kind of like these really thin strands of volcanic fiberglass. So they cool really quickly in the air and they get drawn out into long strands. So I found a tiny little patch of these. I've never seen them before. I was so excited and I was like, wow. So I took a little sample home in my Tupperware just to show like my parents and stuff. And then when I went there 2016, there was absolutely loads of the stuff, like carpets of it. And I just thought, oh my God, like, this is incredible. I need to utilise this. What can I do? So I collected some samples and I thought, do you know what? This might be a potential avenue to look into. I'm not sure. I'll just give it a go. So now I'm doing some really exciting geochemistry stuff. Looking at whether the composition of the magma has changed over this period since the lava lake has formed. So yeah, just always think on your feet and just, like go for it. Things are going to change. Don't get intimidated and just jump in and go for it.
I think that's really good advice. On my fieldwork as well, I found, like you say, nothing goes to plan, and you can't plan for certain things. I mean, you can go prepared with all of your kit, but you find yourself doing things that you never thought you would. So do you have any advice for any budding volcanologists or people who are interested in maybe getting into the field?
Yeah. So basically, try and home in on what it is that you're interested about volcanoes. Like, I know they're awesome. I know they have eruptions and lava and all this sort of exciting stuff, but actually home in on what aspects it is that you're interested in, because it's a huge field but so diverse. So I think that read around the subject, find out what avenues you'd really like to explore more, and then go from there. Contact potential, if you wanted to do a PhD, contact supervisors. Just be active about it. Nothing's going to come to you. You've really got to work hard to get into these amazing positions because they're just so awesome and everyone wants them. So just be really proactive in how you go about it.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. So from your fieldwork, do you have a sort of best memory, most memorable moment and the most challenging or toughest moment?
I think my most memorable in terms of how amazing it was. Last year when we arrived and there was a lava lake and we'd had such a palaver trying to gain entrance to the park, I'd had multiple pieces of kit fail on me, so I was really quite stressed. Anyway, we were granted access and we decided to have a night just doing observations. So we decided we were going to spend the whole night up at the volcano. There was just me and my friend Guillermo, another researcher, and we were going to make observations on an hourly basis. So we decided that we were going to sleep up there. And that was just absolutely incredible. It was pitch black. You could just hear like crickets, beautiful stars, and just this amazing like roaring lava lake. So that was just absolutely just so surreal and amazing. Kind of one of them pinch yourself moments, like, wow, look where I am. So that was just amazing.
I mean, how many people have camped up next to a active lava lake? You must be one of the very few. And might ask for some sound clip there to see what it sounds like, because I bet it must have been so loud. And
it sounded almost like you were on the coast, like roaring waves sort of thing. It was so loud, and we're quite a distance away. It was really quite incredible, and also like the flux of the heat. You could feel like surges of heat. It was quite noticeable.
Yeah. So. Oh my goodness, I can imagine it would keep you nice and warm overnight.
Yeah.
Did you try and cook anything with the heat of the?
Well, we had quite a funny experience actually. So we were running a bit late, and we had a phone call, and they said, it was about 9:30 at this time in the evening, and they said you can come up, but you have to be in within the half an hour because security would need to let you into the park. So it was like, oh my goodness, okay, let's go. So we were like cramming all of our kit into this taxi, and we realised that we hadn't actually had any food yet. So we decided to stop at a pizza place on the way, and we ordered a pizza. So we took our pizza up there, but we were just so distracted by how amazing the lake was that we kind of forgot about the pizza. And then eventually, a couple hours later, we decided, okay, let's have some food. So we opened up the pizza box, and it was absolutely coated in tiny little critters, like all these crickets and bugs. So we were just like, no, that's not going to happen. So we decided that we would play pizza frisbee into the volcano. So that was a funny moment.
That's fantastic. Again, one of those things that I don't think anyone else will have done. So if anyone's sort of interested in finding out a bit more about your research, where should we send them?
So I'm kind of active on Twitter. So it's Kerry_Reid 21 for Twitter. If you Google Kerry Reid Open University, my research page will come up. But yeah, I'm always happy to hear from people, and if you have any, questions from budding volcanologists, then get in touch.
Well, there you go. Send your questions on in to Kerry. Thank you so much for coming along today. It's been really fascinating hearing about your research, and I hope that your PhD writing up goes well.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening today. This has been the Fieldwork Diaries, and we've been hearing from Kerry Reid, a PhD student and volcanologist at the Open University. We hope you've enjoyed it and hope that you join us next time to listen to more exciting fieldwork stories. My name's Eleni Wood. Goodbye. Fieldwork Diaries is produced at the Open University, and it wouldn't be possible without the amazing people behind the scenes. Music was written and recorded by the wonderful Matt Kent, and fellow fieldwork and podcast enthusiast Stacey Phillips has made us a beautiful website at fieldworkdiaries.com. Check out our Twitter at Fieldwork Diary and Instagram Fieldwork Diaries for live updates. Thanks again for listening.